This video is sponsored by HubSpot. If you've decided that this is the year you are finally going to start your online business, then you are in the right place, because today I'm going to be breaking down the 7 steps for starting and growing a successful online business. These steps aren't complicated and they don't even have to take you very long. In fact, you can do all of them in just a few months and your life will be changed forever. Now, before we get into all that though, I just want to introduce myself really quickly so you know who I am and where this information is coming from. My name is Gillian Perkins. I've started 3 successful online businesses over the past few years, and I've also started several offline businesses before that as well. And today, my full-time job is being an online business strategist, and I run a coaching program that helps people start their own online businesses. So this is what I do full-time. I'm fully in this world, and that is where what I'm going to share with you comes from. All right, so let's get into it. The very first step of starting an online business is just deciding what business you're going to start.
Brainstorm!
You can't move forward and start your business until you've made that all-important decision. And in fact, this is where most people get hung up. Most people who say they want to start their own business never actually start the business because they never make this all-important decision. Unless you already have an idea that you are set on, in which case, congratulations, you've done this step, you can move on to the next step. But otherwise, take a few minutes, a few hours, even a few days to brainstorm a list of a whole bunch of different ideas so that you can make sure that you're really choosing your best option. Narrow down the list to just a few ideas that are really most appealing to you. And then you'll want to spend some intentional time thinking about each of these ideas, thinking about what would really be involved. I like to use this day in a life exercise where you imagine what would you actually have to do on a day-to-day basis to run that business. That can really help you to figure out whether you would actually enjoy running these businesses or not. So what you want to do here is narrow it down to one idea that you are the most excited about. Now, this does not have to be the best idea on the list. Don't worry about getting this right. I'm sure you have lots of good ideas on your list. Just try to choose one that you are the most excited about. And then from there, you'll want to do some market research on that idea. And you can keep your market research really simple, so don't get up in your head about this. It starts with just trying to find people who might be interested in this business or what this business would offer. Can you find those people online? Can you find them in your real life? You want to try to get in contact with them, because at some point, if you go on to build this business, you're going to need to find customers, right? Well, the best time to start finding customers is before you even start the business at all, just to make sure those customers are out there and they're not too difficult to find. Once you've found some people who you think might be interested in your idea, whether you do that online by using online forums or Facebook groups or anything like that, or you just think about people you know in real life. But once you find those people, what you want to do is reach out to them, tell them about your idea, and just ask them what they think. If people seem interested, then I'd recommend you go a step further and reach out about interviewing a few of these people. You'll want to talk to them about the real problem that they're facing, what their real goal is, what they've already tried to solve this problem, what sort of help or support or products they might be interested in to get that result that they're looking for. Again, this process doesn't have to be complicated, but the more informed of a decision you are able to make here, the more likely it will be that your business will be a success and you won't have to end up going back to the drawing boards later on. Now, this is a great time to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, HubSpot. HubSpot just released their 2024 Social Media Trends Report. So basically, this is a report that breaks down exactly what's going on with social media this year. How are businesses using social media most effectively? What strategies are they going for? What are the biggest social media platforms this year for businesses? What's working? What's not? When it comes to building a business online, one of the things you have to be the most strategic about is your marketing. How do you get the visibility that you need so that people know you even exist? How do you stand out from the competition? How do you get people to pay attention to you and be interested in what you have to offer? So knowing what other businesses are doing on social media can be really helpful so that you can either choose to take part in strategies that other businesses are using that are working really well for them, or so that you can choose to zig when everyone else is zagging. And in fact, that's one of the things that HubSpot talks about in this report that's working really well for businesses is going big, going bold, and doing things different than other people are doing. You can grab the HubSpot social media report for free at gillianperkins.com/HubSpot-report or by clicking the link in the description below. Once you've decided what business you're going to start, the next step is to write a business plan.
Plan. I am.
Now, again, like this doesn't need to be complicated. You can keep this really simple. I have a business plan template that I have titled the easiest business plan ever that I use as a starting place with a lot of my clients. And this just maps out, what are you going to name your business? What is your business going to sell? Who is your target market? How are you going to advertise your business? Basic things like that. We just want to have the broad strokes on paper so that we are not building our business aimlessly, but instead we know what we're trying to create. It's kind of like the difference between putting together a puzzle, knowing what picture you're trying to create versus doing it blind. Yes, you can do it blind and it can work out, but it tends to take a lot longer if you don't know what you're trying to create. You can grab my business plan template for free at gillianperkins.com/the-easiest-business-plan-ever. I'll be sure to include that link in the description below as well so that you can get it more easily. So moving on with the steps for starting your online business, step number 3 is where I'm gonna zig where other people are zagging. And that's because I would recommend that the next thing you do is a beta launch of your product.
With the most exciting new product.
Now I know that this might seem like way too much, way too soon, like wait, what? I haven't even registered my business name. I haven't even created my product yet. I don't have an audience yet. How could I possibly beta launch it? Yes, that is totally true, and some people prefer to do those other things first. But here's what I'll tell you. That is the slower route.
All right, well, you're gonna have to deal with this yourself.
If you want to start your online business more quickly, then I'd recommend that you do your beta launch before you do all those other things. So in short, a beta launch is where you do a test drive of selling your product. So you are going to create the simplest version of your product that you can take to market, or you are just going to pre-launch your product before you even create it. So the most common example of this is Kickstarter, right? So on Kickstarter, people are beta launching their product. They're launching it before the product even exists. Maybe they have a prototype, maybe it's just an idea, but they bring it to the masses and they say, hey, here's my idea. What do you think? Would you like to invest? Would you like to purchase this product before it's even created? And then if I create it, then you'll get it. If not, you'll get your money back. Now, this is just one of many different ways you can do your beta launch, but the basic principle here is the same. You're bringing your product to market before it's really ready. Now, one thing that's super important through this process is that you are super transparent and honest with people about what's really going on. You don't want to sell a product and pretend that it exists when it doesn't yet. And you also don't want to sell a product that's not really ready to be taken to market, because people never like that. But if you're totally transparent that this is just a pre-order campaign, or you are releasing just a smaller version of your product at a lower cost, then this can be a fantastic way to test out your product idea before you go to all the work to create it, and before you go to all the work of actually properly setting up your business. You just want to test things out so that you make sure that your idea really has potential before you invest all that time and energy and money. If your beta launch is a success, meaning that you are able to pretty easily get at least a handful of sales, then that is the green light to be able to move on to step 4 of your business startup process. And step 4 is setting up the administrative side of your business.
You didn't file your paperwork last night.
So in this step, you need to register your business name with your state. You need to do your research to find out if there are any special licenses or requirements that are required by your state for the type of business that you're starting. You also want to set up a simple website, and I would recommend that you set up some email marketing software so that you can start growing your email list early. Now, technically that last step is optional. Not every business has an email list, but it's kind of like saving for retirement. Most people end up wishing they'd done it, and they end up wishing that they'd started earlier. So I say, just get it started early when you are setting up your business so that you don't have that regret later on. With your business set up and legal, you are ready to move on to step number 5, which actually is an optional step itself, and that is developing your product. And the reason this step is optional is because it really depends on what your business is selling. If you are selling a physical product, for example, then you're probably going to need to do this step. You'll either need to improve your prototype and get your final product manufactured, or else you will need to create more of your product if it's something you're creating yourself. Or if you're selling a digital product, this might be where you actually create your online course. But if your business is going to sell a service like web design or graphic design or writing services, you might not need to do this step at all, or do it very minimally, just further mapping out exactly what this service is that your business offers. By the way, if I sound like a frog in today's episode, I'm not sick, I feel fine, but our trees are in full pollination here in Oregon, and it is affecting my throat. So I'm sorry if I sound weird, but I feel fine. So at this point, you have done 5 of the 7 steps of starting and growing your online business, and you are in the home stretch, kind of.
Nope.
Not really, because actually those first 5 steps are definitely the easiest steps of building a business. These last 2 steps are the steps that really grow your business, and they tend to be things that are harder and take a lot longer. In fact, they're things that you might keep doing on into the future as long as you run your business. So step 6 is finding customers. And since I think you're starting an online business, you're gonna be finding customers online. Now there are, of course, lots of different ways you can do this. Some of the ways that I tend to recommend to my clients are, first of all, networking. This is a great starting place. Now, when I say networking, I don't mean going to networking events and shaking hands with strangers and then promptly forgetting their names or just sticking their business cards in your Rolodex. Effective networking really looks nothing like this. This is about meeting people and getting to know them, building relationships in your space so that later on you can collaborate with people who have brands that are similar to yours. And also through this process of meeting people and building relationships, you find potential customers. And that leads me right into the next strategy that I love to recommend to new online business owners, and that is doing collaborations online. There are lots of different ways you can do this. You can partner up with another brand for a joint venture promotion where they promote your product to their audience and you split the profit. You can do guest blogging. You can be a guest on podcasts. You can swap lead magnets, which is where you share another brand's lead magnet with your email list or audience, and they share your lead magnet with their audience, and you both grow your email lists in the process. Let me know if you want a whole video about that. That's quite a strategy on its own. Anyway, doing collaborations with other brands in your space is a great way to find potential customers. Another good one is content marketing. So this is where HubSpot's free guide can really come into play, because a big part of content media marketing is social media marketing. These two things are separate, but they work together. So content marketing is where you create content about whatever it is that your business does. So for example, if you're starting a plumbing company, then you could create videos about how to do minor plumbing repairs. And then at the end of each of your videos, you could have a call to action where you tell people, if your repair is too big for you to do yourself, then call us. That's a silly little example. I don't suppose you're probably starting a plumbing company. But similarly, here on YouTube, I create videos about business strategy and digital marketing because that's what I help people with. And so then my videos are a great introduction to people like you who are interested in starting their businesses and who might at some point be interested in hiring me and my company. But then how this relates to social media marketing is you can then take that content that you created and share it on social media. YouTube is kind of an interesting mix of a content platform, a search platform, and social media. But then we've got the straight up social media like Instagram and TikTok and X and things like that, where you can tell people about blog posts or podcast episodes that you created and link them to it to get the word out. Once you've started to get that ball rolling in your business and you are seeing new customers come in the door every single month, then it's time to move on to step 7 and scale your business. Scaling your business means that you are taking it from something that is small and growing it up to something that is big. But what's important here is that you need to keep your ratios right. So for example, if you scale up a square, you got to keep those ratios right. You have to keep the size 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, right? Or else it's not a square. And with a shape like that, you might lose your structural integrity if you scaled it disproportionately. Well, the same thing can happen with your business. If you do not scale your business proportionately, then you might find that your business is lopsided, and that is what can lead to business collapse and your business failing. And that is what leads to such a high percentage of small businesses failing. So instead, here's what we need to do. You need to make sure that first of all, you are scaling up your marketing to attract more and more new customers. But at the same time, you are scaling up your systems so that you can serve and support those new customers. You need to, for example, have the systems in place to be able to deliver product to as many new customers as you're attracting. And then at the same time, you also have to make sure that you are scaling up your team. You have to have the people in place to run the systems to support those new customers, and also the people in place to run the marketing initiatives to attract the new customers. Scaling your business is something that you'll probably continue to do for the life of your business. It's an art and a science, but it's not as hard as it might sound. So there you have it. Those are the 7 steps for starting and growing a successful online business. Now, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to be thinking so much about this entire process that you get hung up and you forget about the most important thing. The most important thing right now is that you get started. That right now you get to work on making that decision about what business you're going to start. And then from there, you create a simple plan for starting your business. Don't worry about step number 7, focus in on step number 1, and then 2, and so on. Before you go, don't forget to download that free business plan if you need some help creating a solid plan for starting your online business, and HubSpot's social media trends guide as you are thinking about how to strategically market your new business. You can find the links to both of those resources in the show notes below this episode. Next up, you'll want to watch this video right here to learn how to market your business online. There's a lot that goes into digital marketing, and in this video I break it all down. It's the ultimate guide to marketing your online business.